Here
We're
we are.
live. It's Thursday.
Good morning, Keith.
Here, Real Estate Now, Stacy Chevalier. Oh no, you're usually over here. Today you're over here. Stacy
Good to
Chevalier,
see you.
how are you?
I'm good.
Good.
I'm excited for the show.
Looks like the sun is coming in through your windows there.
Yeah, I'm still in a secret location. I'm not going to share, but
Secret location.
quarantined
Nice.
somewhere with my family, some sunshine.
As long as the sun is shining and everybody's happy, that's what that's what matters. Happy and healthy.
Right.
So,
yes. We're being very safe.
Right on. So tell us really quick recap from Dan Hansen. We had 171 views last week.
Yeah, so great that he offered to come on and just share his knowledge. He's definitely a legend in the mortgage business. So appreciate that, and really appreciate that he instantly said he would match our offer to the food bank. So dollar for dollar, I kind of think he thinks we have like 10,000 views because he kept asking me like, where are we at? Where are we at? So 171, Dan, was it. So you owe us $171 and we will donate $342 to our local food bank. So I'll be reaching out to him today, but thank you very much, Dan, and his support of us. So let's talk about, go ahead.
Oh, we were talking before we went live here that we're going to recap and get the final number of the donation that we're going to make to the food bank here since the start of the show, which was back in April. Wow, has it been that long already?
March,
That's
April.
awesome. So super excited to unveil that number next week and keep it going. So
yeah, and then I think what we're going to do is we're going to choose another charity. So if anyone out there watching has a charity that is close to them, we would like to start donating money to them for the next quarter. Same idea. So give us all of your thoughts and ideas, and we would be happy to help support something that helps our community.
Absolutely. So before we jump into our real estate report card, we always do it every week. We were kicking the tires last week about when is that 30-year going to get into the twos, and on the Freddie Mac survey. And Stacy, guess where we are this week?
Under 3%. I think we're hit it.
Under 3%.
Yes. And we do understand it was lower than this, but we're just following the Freddie Mac survey, so that's what we're watching for. Yeah,
quite a great point there. I've locked numerous people this week under the 2.98% that it says on the Freddie Mac survey. And so this is a survey across the whole United States. And rates are just continuing to be amazing right now. So
we originally I said we'd hit that number in October. We hit it in July. So when do we think we'll go below 2.625?
2.625 on the Freddie Mac survey?
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy.
Well, how about 2.75?
If our fellow Americans could just wear a mask and keep some social distance right now, or physical distance is what we're talking about, so we can open everything back up, hopefully we don't get there. I would like to not see 2.625 because that means that we're starting to recover. So I'm gonna play the opposite side of that coin. I'm not gonna say a date.
Okay, I'm gonna say October. I'm gonna say we're gonna keep going down.
Gotcha. Well, time will tell. Time will absolutely tell. So we've got in store today for all you watching is the real estate report card. We're going to do this quarterly, and we're bringing back some of the familiar faces that have helped us out thus far with the Real Estate Now. And joining us today, starting from north to south, we're going to add to the stream here Darcy Hardy with EXP, Dan,
good morning, Darcy,
Spurlock Home Team, and Aaron Thomas.
Hey, Aaron.
Welcome, y'all.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you. How's it going?
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming back. We didn't scare you away.
Not yet.
Not yet. Perfect. Well, I want to give you all a chance, maybe take 30 seconds or so and tell us about your local areas and what you're seeing right now on the streets. Ladies first. Darcy, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, so I'm right on the border of King County and Snohomish County, so I do a lot in both. And I want to point out inventory is the big issue right now. Inventory by far is the big issue. So I'm looking at in Snohomish with just residential, we were at about 1.3%, 1.3 months inventory. So that, for our viewers, that is when we get if something all right, let's try this again. When nothing else goes on the market from today forward and we keep on selling at the same rate, we would sell out of houses in 1.3 months. Now we're down to 0.7. Okay.
And what's a healthy market for our viewers?
So a balanced market where it's not for sellers or for buyers is about 4 to 6 months. We have 0.7 months right now. And in King County, we were at about 1.5 months. We're down to about 1 month right now. So multiple offers all over the place. That's pretty much what we're seeing.
Gotcha. Dan, how about you?
Yeah, same thing. I mean, listings are few and far in between, more buyers than there are sellers, and the buyers are feeling it by getting into the multiple offer situations. And yeah, they're getting a little frustrated, I think. You know, it's great if you're a seller, but it's funny if you're a seller and you're looking to buy after, you kind of get to see both sides of that coin. So one of my sellers just experienced how wonderful it is to sell a home and get so many offers and pick them. And now they're on the other side of that. Like, this is not very fun. So, yeah, low inventory, multiple offers, escalations. And then, of course, you know, that brings appraisal issues. If they escalate too high, you know, is it going to appraise? Yeah, and so it is tough out there for buyers, especially those that are doing, you know, zero down programs and different things like that. You know, cash is king, lots of money down. All of that is typically winning out. And yeah, it's been tough for buyers, and so yeah, that's what's going on here. So same thing here.
Aaron, how about you round it out?
Well, not to beat a dead horse. We're beating a dead horse here. So same thing. Up north, you had mentioned 0.7, right? Month supply. So we're 0.6 here. So.
And where are you, Aaron?
Sorry, Thurston County. Mostly Thurston, South Pierce. And that echoes true as you move out to the neighboring counties a little bit as well. Same type of trend. You know, you take what would have been another 40 to 50% of the sellers. Our last year, we had, between last year and this year, if we're talking about, you know, this past month, we have a 56% drop in the amount of listings that hit the market. So you take half the houses completely off the table, and we're shopping in an empty store here. You know, there's a couple things, there's a little bit of bread, but you're not picking between the brands of bread. You're happy to get some bread. That's what's going on.
Wow. Aaron, I want to expand on a point you just made. You said there's 50% fewer listings this year over last year.
Yeah, in the previous month, percentage-wise, 56% less hit the market.
Wow. So this is always a point that I have to coach through, and I talk to a lot of prospective buyers going through the pre-approval process. They're like, well, if the number of units being sold is so low and it's so off, why are prices still going up? How does that intertwine together?
It's just supply and demand. When you have, I mean, imagine this, one person fighting for the same house versus 5 versus 10 versus 15. The winner is likely gonna pay more, right? I mean, they're competing, and more people you're competing against for the same product. So just simple supply and demand.
Yeah.
So with this competition, what are you guys seeing? I feel like we're seeing really fast closings right now. So is that part of your negotiating is, you know, put in a full price or escalation, and we'll also say we'll close in 10 days? Like what are you seeing?
More cash, more pre-underwritten files, clients, so they are able to close faster than typical 30-day escrow, things like that.
You know, Stacey, that's, I think, a general assumption, and it can be very, very true. However, what Dan was just mentioning about the people that are selling have to buy something, Sometimes the people want a very flexible close. They want it 45 days, 60 days to allow them to find something else to get into contract.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. We always ask the listing agent what is most important to your seller. I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, we want to know, is it a quick close? Is it a long close? Is it a rent back? Is it a, whatever? Obviously price, right? Most sellers want the most amount of money, but there could be other things that kind of drive that. And a longer close date or even a rent back option, as much as, that's not ideal for anyone. It could mean the difference, and quick close isn't always the case. But obviously, in case of vacant homes, I mean, they want to close tomorrow. But yeah, sometimes longer close date can help. Just depends on what the seller's looking for.
I won one this week in multiple offers. I think there were 8 or 9 offers on the table, and I have a client with a VA loan. And immediately, we often think that VA loan isn't going to get it done because 0% down, and you just don't know the circumstances. So I created a great relationship with the other agent, and it turns out that the seller and the other agent both do a lot with veterans, and they really appreciated that. So you really have to dig and find out what's going to help you.
Those are all great points.
You definitely need good representation right now, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
The follow-up question I have to that, I think it was Dan that you made mention about rent backs. What is a rent back? I don't think there's a lot of folks that understand that this is even a chip on the table.
Yeah, so a rent back is basically where you close on the house. You do an agreed upon close date, whatever that is, and then you allow the seller to stay in the house for a certain period of time after you close, and they essentially rent it from you, whether on a per day or per week type basis, and then they'll leave after that. So that gives them some time to find a house, to move out, lots of different things. It just gives them some nice flexibility. It is risky, obviously. Somebody buying a house, usually, they're not looking to get into the landlord business, but for all intents and purposes, you're a landlord for that week or couple of weeks or whatever it may be. So we make sure that our clients know what that means, and give them the information. But yeah, that's what it is, and it does happen sometimes.
Yeah, it can be a powerful tool. On the lending side, we just like to make sure that they're 60 days or less, right? Because we need to make sure they move in within that 60-day time frame.
Sure.
But yeah, that's pretty awesome. So tell us, you guys are talking to buyers, you guys are talking to sellers every day. What's in the mindset of the seller right now as far as listing the property? Are they still COVID conscious, or what are they thinking right now?
We actually have seen quite a bit less of a worry about COVID than we thought. So we went out and devised a whole safe seller campaign and a strategy, and we haven't even really needed to use it, to be honest, which is a little bit surprising. And maybe it's small sample size, so we'll ask these guys what they've experienced. But it's either somebody maybe, what we're finding is anybody that's really worried is just that they're a part of that 56%, and they're choosing to wait if they can. So what it means is we have this issue where we are going to have some pent-up demand that at some point is going to rebound, potentially, is what a lot of people think. So in fact, I got something behind me here. Look at this. This is how you sell during COVID right here.
COVID kit.
Awesome.
Yeah. And you're not putting those in houses, huh?
We're putting them right in front of the door. We're posting stuff. We're doing all kinds of stuff.
Oh, wow.
It's really not because the seller wants us to. It's because we're just trying to do what we can to keep people safe,
But you're noticing people aren't using it? Is that what you're seeing?
We're not having sellers come to us really concerned.
Okay.
They need to sanitize their whole house before they go back after a showing.
Oh. Nice. Oh, well, there's a great question. Let's table the seller mindset really quick. Keegan just asked, how can buyers win in multiple offer situations? What are some winning tactics that you guys have been using right now?
So I'll just real quick, just to reiterate, number one, asking what's important to the seller. And then really the keys are, of course, price. Again, everybody knows that, but shorter inspection timeframes, pre-inspection. We got one with a pre-inspection, so they inspected it before they made the offer. So they basically came in with the offer waiving the inspection. Shorter contingencies, shorter timeframes. Letters sometimes help if a seller is okay with the letter, but oftentimes a buyer will write a really nice letter about, who they are and how much they love their home and what they loved about it. That can be a difference. And when all things are even, that can kind of push you over the top. So yeah, those are just, again, price, shorter contingencies, and finding out what's most important to the seller seems to be working for us. So.
I'm going to echo all of those things, along with who the lender is makes a really big difference. And I think people don't always realize that. You have some amazing companies online that are offering these crazy low rates, even lower than one would expect. And I'm not going to name names, but all of us agents know that they don't close on time. And because of that, we'll let our clients know, hey, is it worth an extra $5,000 if you're not going to get to closing? I mean, that's the only way you get money. So who they choose for a lender makes a really big difference.
Yeah, definitely. I would say I'm curious what you guys have seen in maybe the last 45 days, because from a lending perspective, we've been, as you know, we've never been busier, and most of it was refis. And in the last 45 days, we are all purchase. We still have the refis, but we have so many purchases. That's all we're working on in our ops center. So it seems like something happened in the last 45 to 60 days. Did you guys feel that? Or we just got more purchases in for no reason? What did you see? What looks like you want to say something, Darcy?
Post-COVID, well, not post-COVID, but post the initial shutdown, people going back out shopping and finally getting into the rhythm of being a purchase opportunity. There's just a lot of them out there. I mean, to Dan's point, 8 for 1, I'm not sure what he had mentioned. So, and then on the multiple offer situation, a lot of what we're seeing who's winning is putting additional money down towards a low appraisal. So we're seeing that a lot. But the big thing is the communication, and just what are all the strategies that we just discussed, and what in order of importance, what has the most impact, and let's talk about them in advance and figure out which ones we're going to, deploy with this particular offer based off of how the agent conversation goes with the other agent.
So say that again. You're saying in multiple offers, so there's an escalation, the appraisal comes in low, you've already had the conversation that they will need to come in with more money, and you put that out in the offer?
Yeah, there's a real estate addendum that allows us in the offer to the other party to state our intention that if you experience a low appraisal, if we experience a low appraisal in this deal, that the buyer will actually put additional money down to be able to cover that difference.
So let's go ahead and dissect that a little bit for the consumer. If, let's say, the purchase price that's agreed upon is $600,000 and the appraisal comes back at $575,000, the bank isn't going to give you that extra $25,000 because they don't think it's worth it. So if in your offer you say, hey, in the event a appraisal comes back low, I am willing to not renegotiate with you on the price, but bring this much extra cash to the table to make sure it closes. And you can put limits on that. But that makes a huge difference because it's more guaranteed money in the seller's pocket.
Are you guys seeing quite a few low appraisals right now with these escalations?
We've had a couple.
We have.
Yeah, just a couple. But yeah, it's definitely happened.
Knock on something, I haven't yet, but I'm using that form left and right because I think it's coming.
Yeah, knock on something, Darcy. I think it's coming. Well, yeah, there you go. Yeah, we see them. We're seeing quite a few of them, but the escalations are, I mean, there's, like to your guys' point, there's no inventory, so those escalations can get pretty high.
The one thing too that people forget all the time is a buyer goes out, they're looking for a home, they make an offer, they lose the bid, and then they think they have to give up and go to the next house. When in reality, a lot of the purchase contracts that our team has gotten accepted in the last 60 days has been to where we were initially a backup offer on that property that they liked as they continued to shop. So that is actually how we're getting a lot of people into homes, and it's happened on the homes that we've listed as well. So that's a strategy that everybody forgets about, it seems.
I think that's a really good point, because financing's it's still tricky, and there's a lot of consumers that were furloughed and came back and felt like, okay, now I'm ready to go. Well, that's not necessarily how the agencies look at income, and they may no longer qualify, and they don't realize it until closer to the end. So I think that's a great point to be a backup offer.
Tell us about the backup offer process.
So you go, you find the house, you already made the initial offer. Typically, if you already made the initial offer, there's come to be a time where you figure out that you lose that offer, right? So the conversation is had between the buyer and the agent, and then do you want to, be in backup position potentially on this property? Not every seller is willing to take a backup offer. So it's a conversation between your agent and the listing agent as to if the seller is open to the idea. And what we found is if you come in second or third place on a multiple offer situation, a lot of the times they do want the security of a backup offer, and they will accept that backup offer. And so here you are waiting in the wings. Should anything happen, you get to become the buyer of the property potentially. So it's not a bad position to be in as you continue to explore what your other opportunities are, because the reality is that backup offer can be withdrawn. None of that process is starting. You're not inspecting the home or anything like that. And so, it's just a good spot to be in to have a chance at something that you wanted to buy and you already were willing to make an offer on.
Is there an earnest money requirement on a backup offer?
Typically, the earnest money is negotiated just like any other offer, but it is not provided until it becomes a firm offer.
Oh, gotcha. So it's just on the paper until you become number one.
In most cases.
Interesting. Yeah. And to echo Stacy's sentiment, I mean, there's still a lot of companies that are fluctuating furloughs and this and that and layoffs, and you could have a bona fide pre-approval and somebody that is ready to get a mortgage today, and 2 weeks down the road, if they get laid off or furloughed, that deal's done, right? So, I mean, I think the backup offer is something I hadn't thought about, Aaron. That's a great option.
Yeah. Or we're also finding people went into forbearance on maybe an investment property, and they didn't realize that impacts their financing. So yeah, lots of little things right now can happen. I'm curious, I think we kind of talked about this the first round with all of you guys on as guests. If you're seeing people kind of moving outside the city centers, are we seeing any of that yet, and trying to find more land or just a more comfortable spot for a family to be at during this time?
Yeah, we're really seeing that. It's funny. We've had 3 listings in Brennan. Does anybody even know where that is?
No.
Where is it?
Exactly. Where is it? Brennan
must be on the water.
Yeah, it's an hour 42 minutes away from Gig Harbor. So it's way out there in Olympic Peninsula. It's like Hoodsport, Lilywop. It's just way out in the middle of nowhere. We had a little A-frame cabin out there that previously was listed by 2 other agents. Bad photos, all that. No offers. We listed it 3 weeks ago. We got 8 offers over asking price. I mean, it looked just a little A-frame cabin on the Dosey Wallops River. And just crazy. And then we just got back from Lake Cushman up in Hoodsport, and we always like to look up there. My parents live up there, and I just looked at the inventory up there, and it's insane. There's like 2 homes for sale in my parents' division, and there's easily 15 available all the time, if not more, and there's 2. It's just people are looking to get out of town, whether permanently or, you know, second home just to get away from the city and get away from all this craziness for a while. So yeah, I'm definitely seeing that.
But I'm also seeing people moving from other areas because they're able to do their jobs from anywhere right now. I have somebody I sold a place to who has a great friend staying with them who's from Miami, and she's doing her entire job from here. And she said, you know what? I think I want to move out here. So we're seeing a whole big shuffle. I mean, Stacy, you're in an undisclosed location, right? You're not right here. So everybody's shuffling for where they want to be right now. And some people are deciding to move with that.
Yeah, there's an interesting website you can check out. It's called howmanywalks.com, and they have an interactive chart on has to do with flow of wealth in and out. And so I'm looking at it right now. I just pulled it up, and for King County, it shows where the money's kind of coming in and where it's going out. So I was interested in where it's going out, right? So according to this, and again, I don't vouch for the site. I haven't really researched the source here, but Snohomish County is the biggest exodus of wealth from King to Snohomish. It's like 4 billion. Then Pierce, then Clark, then Kitsap, then Island.
Wait, these are people from King going to Snohomish or King going to Pierce?
Exactly.
Okay, got
And
it.
so as far as where the wealth is gained from, it's 3 different counties in California, and one in Illinois and one in Florida. So if I look at Thurston County down where I'm at, it's a similar trend. You know, the wealth exodus is most of it, almost all of it, is to the neighboring counties that are further away from Seattle. So people just, the prices are just causing people to move further and further out. And we're seeing that with the people that we help every day. They're either moving to another state or they're moving a little further away from where they're currently at, away from Seattle. So if they're in Thurston, they're going to Lewis. You know, so it's interesting to see. I mean, to a certain extent, there's always a little bit of this going on, right? But right now it seems to be accelerated, you know, because of the pricing going up the last couple of years.
The pricing, and once education is announced, that might show us another exodus. If some people are staying kind of put, wondering if their kids are going to be in school, but if we get the announcement to close, why not move out to Brennan or wherever that is? Teach your kids out there, right? So I
echo that sentiment, Stacy. We got a new travel trailer, picking it up today. If the kids are online, man, we're out. Joanna says, why wouldn't a seller want a backup offer for security?
So
go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah, I mean, basically in a nutshell, if you have confidence that you can go back on and get a better offer than the backup offer you're about to accept, then you wouldn't accept the backup offer. You just go back on market, have a frenzy at your house again, and potentially end up with a better offer than the backup. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry. We kind of talked at the same time.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And sometimes the backup offer has issues with it. You know, every offer has its pros and cons for the most part, but it wasn't accepted for a reason. And sometimes it's something as easy as the close date just does not work with the seller. You know, so put it back on the market.
Gotcha. So when you take that backup offer as a seller, you are obligated, if number one defaults, you have to go to number two. There's not an option there. So is that what I'm hearing?
Correct. That's correct. If they sign it, yeah.
If they sign it.
Yeah, you're not going to put it back on the market. It does not have to change from pending back to active. You just leave it, and the other person just moves right into the number one position.
Gotcha.
Right.
So again, it gets back to terms.
Yeah, it comes back to terms always. I want to add also that with the number of people that are out of jobs right now or shifting jobs, there's a whole slew of individuals coming in to be realtors. And that adds some interesting aspect too, because there's a lot of realtors right now that are saying, whoa, what do I do with COVID? My usual things like getting people at open houses isn't working. So you're going to have a whole slew of people coming in that don't have experience, which isn't always a bad thing. It's just one more piece of know who you're talking to.
And why are they coming in, do you think? Is it because they were furloughed from a different job and they think this is a good time to get into real estate?
You know, it's funny because so many people have this like, well, I've always thought about real estate. I like going to look at houses. Most people, when they jump into this industry, don't really know what the job is. And they're sitting at home.
For sure.
Getting paid by the state and the government with unemployment. Why don't I get my real estate license?
It's funny Darcy brings that up because that's exactly how I got into it. I mean, I ended up, it's so funny. In 2005, I had back surgery. I did something to my back with a job and I couldn't work and couldn't do lifting jobs anymore. So I was like, why not do real estate? So I got into real estate for that very reason. And but there's always people, you know, exiting as well. The people, that, you know, it's got one of the highest turnover rates of any job. And it's because you get into it and you think, hey, I mean, how hard can this be? And then you find out pretty quickly it is very, very difficult to stay in it and be successful at it. So, yeah, I can see people getting into it, but I can also see massive people leaving as well. As Stacy said, you know, the ways they've been doing it, open houses and all that, they can't do, and so they're not shifting and figuring it out. So yeah, I can see both sides.
Well, in this
Gotcha.
low inventory, multiple offers, you really need an experienced agent by your side. So definitely do your research or reach out to our panel here. We have all the trust in the world with these guys, which is why we have them on. So we'll link their information to our information so you guys can find Darcy, Dan, and Aaron. And I'm sure they'll answer any questions you have, even if you don't use them, but there's a resource for our community. So Thank you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you. And we're over our 30 minutes. So just want to thank you all very much for being here today and looking forward to checking in with you guys. I think our next one is set for October for Q3 wrap up. And like Stacy said, we'll definitely connect everybody on the comment bar here. So last question for you guys. What are you doing with the rest of your summer?
Go ahead, Darcy.
I have one vacation planned. Otherwise, just keep on working.
Boating for me, if the weather ever gets nice enough, which it's supposed to. Next week,
Dan. Next week.
Yeah, next week. Yeah, let's see. And then, we've got a vacation planned down to our house in Arizona. And then my son's got some basketball tournaments, believe it or not.
Wow.
We're starting basketball. No fans. So that will be interesting.
No parents?
No parents. So he'll be driving himself to those games because I'm not going to go sit in the parking lot while he plays basketball.
Hopefully they figure out how to do it virtual so you can watch.
Yeah.
Right.
That's how my kids' karate is.
They
do it
should.
virtual.
Yeah. So anyways, that's our plans.
Do they have to sanitize the ball in between every touch?
They might. They do have to wear masks when they're on the bench, believe it or not.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
At least not on the court.
Yeah. Thank goodness, right? Their kids passing out because they can't breathe. Anyways.
On to Aaron. What about you?
No, I wish it was something exciting. Unless you like loads of barbecue. I mean, pretty much cooking in the backyard. You know, working.
I'm in. What time?
Ribs, everything, you name it.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah,
Well,
maybe
that's
a
not a bad
local
deal.
trip. We'll see.
Gotcha. Well, thanks again, everyone. We'll catch you next go around on wrapping up Q3. And until then, have a great rest of the summer.
You too. Thanks, guys.
You
Take care,
too.
guys. Bye.
Well, Stacy, there you have it. The market's hot. Make sure you have a great agent and be ready to escalate, it sounds like.
Yeah, really important. They made a lot of good points, and you need that agent that can help you beat out those offers. So
Absolutely. Well, thanks again for tuning in, everybody. Join us next week for another great episode of Real Estate Now. And until next week, I'm Keith Pitch.
Stacy Chevalier,
We'll
thanks
catch
for
you
your guys'
later.
support. Bye.